Hello and welcome to the Friday edition of Beer Bros. Today we conclude our trip to Brazos Valley Brewing, learn a bit more about their facilities, the effects of water on brewing, and sample their Momma Tried IPA.
So why don't y'all tell us about your brewery and your setup?
So our current setup has gone through a few changes, mostly in the cellar, but we have a 20-barrel brew house, and we initially kind of Franken-brewed it together, but we've had a mash tun manufactured because we got a 20-barrel kettle from Hales Ales out of Seattle, and so we're like, okay, we'll build around this kettle. So we use an open top whirlpool, so post-boil, everything gravity feeds into the whirlpool vessel. And it's open top, which, you know, I don't know if many people doing it, but the guys at Hales Ales were doing it, and they were like, oh, everybody's too particular about these closed vessels. We just open top whirlpool. So we kind of took the lead from them, you know, and branched into that. And we initially started out with, 20-barrel bright, a couple of 20-barrel fermenters. We upgraded that, and then last year we ended up upgrading to all 40-barrel fermenters, 40-barrel bright. So now it's 2 turns through the brew house per batch. So, and that's what Robert.
About 11 hours, worth of brewing,
Yeah, on our system, probably 11-hour day from start to clean up out the door to get a batch done.
Have you ever experienced any unexpected souring, any unexpected visitors to the beer from the open?
When we first started canning, of course, we sent off can samples, but what we do is we'll be, of course, with the brew house, we do a cleaning cycle on the whirlpool and the heat exchanger, and then rinse, and then we do a sanding cycle and we whirlpool that. So we do scrub it out, sanitize it, and so before that batch goes into it, it has been cleaned and sanitized, but it is open. But it's about 205 degrees when it comes in.
Even at the very end of knockouts, 204.
Yeah, so it's very warm in that whirlpool as we knock out.
It's very warm in the whole brew house. Right?
Yeah, the whole brew house, 100 degrees.
No accidental songs coming out of that?
No, not at all. And it's so hot, if there was something wild yeast drifting through the air, it's not going to survive that process. We initially started out with mobile canning, to get into the cans, and then as soon as we were able, we purchased our own canning line.
And wrap cans in the beginning too,
Yeah, we had used the shrink wrap cans for smaller orders, and then the larger orders are the painted cans. So
the automation's getting more accessible to smaller breweries. So I think,
we still manually have a manual pack-off table. It comes through, rinsed. There's an air blade that blows it dry, and then we, package it, stack it ourselves. And get it done.
With the size of your current location, are you looking at expanding into a bigger facility?
We still have room to grow in here. We just have to kind of rearrange a few things. Eventually, the packaging line being in the cellar there, we want to move it to the back part of the cellar where we currently have can storage and kind of make that the packaging hall. And that way we can put more 40 barrels in.
And another bright. I'm ready for another bright.
We've got a couple more 40s and another bright coming, and then hopefully we'll get a few more 40s after that. But we're kind of limited with the ceiling height right now in terms of putting 60s in. So eventually we may have to do some construction on the place if we want to go taller. So that's kind of our biggest limitation, but we still do have a lot of room to put more 40s in. So we've got about is it a 200-barrel cellar we're working with right now?
5,
plus the bright.
5 40s in the bright.
Yeah, the bright, so 240 barrels, but we'll be hopefully getting 80 more barrels of fermentation space and 40 more barrels of bright tank space. So that way we can basically be packaging, 4 days to 5 days a week and constantly brewing. We probably brew like 3 to 4 times a week now. And but we also we do have kind of now set up with, we have a brewing team, packaging team, but we still kind of,
everybody still needs to be able to do anything that's requested.
Needs to be able to do anything still, so that's kind of our limitations. But once we get rolling with these new tanks in, especially the new bright, then we'll really be able to ramp up because we can still, we have a lot more room for growth in all of our markets, really. So that's where we're at. Next beer, Momma Tried, it's a Citra IPA.
I love Citra.
All right. So Robert, how'd you come up with this one?
Oh, that's Jeremy's there. Yeah.
Oh, surprise.
Kind of. We used to brew an IPA called The Cause, and it was more traditional C hops,
Spicy.
Centennial,
yeah, sharp.
Columbus, Cascade, which I still really like those
This
IPAs.
guy's a Cascade shill, so.
Oh, yeah.
But it seems like, now it's kind of like that's the older version of the American IPAs, and you have hops like Citra coming out. So we still did use some Cascade in there because I just like Cascade and IPAs, And so we did a little bittering with it, and then did a lot of hop bursting Whirlpool Citra editions. And then it's got a pretty simple grain bill, with 2-row, some Crystal 45, and then a little, Carafoam for body, and then
Comes very clear.
it's dry hopped with Citra and Cascade.
Bitterness, but it doesn't linger on you.
Yeah. It's got, for our pale ales and IPAs, we like to try to get a really good hop aroma. They'll stick around. You can kind of smell it off the table, whenever you're drinking it.
This one, I can smell it as soon as I open the can.
Yeah. That's nice.
And
I like everything light, just because living in Texas, I mean, most of the year it is hot, and even at 6.6, this one goes down real easy.
I think
6.6
that's a very good
ABV.
point, because a lot of a lot of stuff that comes out of Colorado or the Northwest, a little too heavy for us. Yeah, it's like, well, maybe during the fall, winter, but during the summer.
You better not be mowing the lawn,
So basically undrinkable for 9 months out of the year for us.
Yeah, we add a little bit of sigillated malt, to
I've been cutting it back because our water keeps changing.
We
We got to keep on the water.
We keep track pretty closely of the water profile because we're using basically the water we have here in Brenham, which is coming off of Lake Somerville, filtered water.
Okay.
But
So
luckily
it does
the mineral,
change. It's got the profile for it is actually really good for brewing, a little low on the calcium. So we'll add gypsum. But whenever you're using a water source like that, you have to make sure, so at least once a month to 2 months, we're testing that and making sure. And that way we can kind of just gauge how to get our pH where we want it to be.
I was doing it quarterly, and if you do it quarterly, it'll actually sneak up on you where all of a sudden you got a batch.
So,
and
it's like, so just to keep everything in line, we're basically doing it once a month and making sure.
Ryan College Station, our water is more crunchy. Our water is lower. Yeah. It's really interesting brewing with that.
No, I'm pretty pleased with it just because at home I can use the exact same water and brew my home batches. And I know if I want to test batch something here, it's gonna come out just like I made it at home. We don't do reverse osmosis.
In 4 years there hasn't been anything that's super drastic, but we have noticed shifts in the pH, and so we just try to stay on top of it and work with it. And it's the water. We're brewing the beer here in Brenham, so it's the beer. We're not completely
pretty lucky
stripping
that
it down.
it is,
And
it's pretty good for beer. Yeah.
Because I know some breweries, they'll strip the water down completely with reverse osmosis. We haven't had to go that route. Now if they change something enough on us, then they could force our hand, but so far it's been great. So
Luckily we come in low
city's
normally.
great.
We can add gypsum, calcium, sulfur, whatever we need, but nothing's really too high.
Well, thank you very much for hosting us, and we're glad you came out.
Yeah.
It's a very good beer, and I encourage everybody who can to come out and find it.
Yes, absolutely.